So I go to Oklahoma City University. We're a liberal arts college, so usually we're really encouraged to talk about everything.
At OCU, we discuss topics like social justice and environmental stability openly in the classroom.
We have clubs advocating for LGBT rights and interfaith cooperation all across campus.
But it seems like when it comes to abortion, there's no safe place you can talk about anything involving it.
Conversations about abortion these days, and probably always, are a political debate,
A religious debate.
An ethical debate.
an economic debate.
But never just a conversation between community members.
A lot of people are afraid of the topic because they're afraid to be judged or afraid to offend somebody else with their views, but how are we ever going to reach a happy medium or an understanding if we don't even try?
We can't keep running away from conversations about abortion. Right now it's so awkward and taboo, and people feel like they just can't talk about it, but we need to.
At the end of the day, we are pro-voice. This is a topic that affects so many people that everyone should be able to express their opinions and experiences.
That's why our group decided to tackle the topic of abortion and just share with you some of our views. You don't have to agree, but just to get the conversation going.
Cells are alive, sperm are also alive, and so are eggs. And so, when you put them together, they're still alive. And then there's all of this debate about the life of the fetus. It's not actually a fetus, though, even until 8 weeks. Before that, it's an embryo, which the embryo is alive as well. It's important to also note, though, that most abortions take place while it's still an embryo. So now I'm going to bring up the issue of test tube babies, in vitro fertilization. So those babies are made outside of the uterus. They're conceived and they incubate for 2 to 5 days, and not all of those fertilized eggs are going to take, but nobody considers that murder, at least I don't think. I mean, they say that life begins at fertilization before the embryo even implants itself in the uterus. So what's really the difference between an embryo incubating inside of someone or in a dish for a few days? And life is defined by the ability to grow and change and develop, and embryos aren't the only things that grow and change and develop. I mean, all of these cells are alive, and nobody is crying about all of the sperm that are wasted and die. So our main focus should be giving everybody who's already alive a good life, with an opportunity to have a happy, successful life. So our main focus should be giving everybody who's already alive a good life, with an opportunity to have a happy, successful life.
I base my view of abortions off of women's rights issues and what I feel the government should and shouldn't control when it comes to my body. The lack of gender empathy when it comes to the subject of abortion is actually kind of disturbing to me sometimes. It's hard for a lot of men to put themselves in our shoes because the possibility of them getting pregnant is pretty small. A lot of men don't take the time to think about what it would be like to have your whole future ahead of you and then have that ripped away. Some people don't think the topic of abortion has anything to do with women's rights, but in my opinion, it has everything to do with women's rights. There seems to be this preconceived notion that because I'm pro-choice, I'm pro-abortion, and that couldn't be farther from the truth. The decision to get an abortion is a really hard one, and it's a hard choice to have to make, but I will advocate for the choice because I don't feel like the government should have any control over my body.
Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and preface this by saying that when it comes to pro-life versus pro-choice, I do tend to fall pro-choice. I'm anti-abortion because I think it's very sad and very awful thing that happens, and I think that we need to allow a voice for those women, but primarily I am pro-choice. I think that women deserve the right to choose. But what I want to talk about is the right to a safe abortion. What's happening in legislation is that these lawmakers, who are the top 1% of society, are targeting the lower class by not allowing for safe and accessible abortions. They're limiting the places where you can access women's health care, the places where you can get an abortion, to, you know, maybe only a few places in a state that are expensive and that, you know, women who are in poverty cannot afford. And at the end of the day, the decision that they're making is whether or not they want to bring a child into the oppressed and povertized life that they have had to leave themselves. And if lawmakers are going to take on the responsibility of telling a woman that she has to bring a child into a povertized life and that she has to force that child to live in a state of oppression, then lawmakers should be doing a lot more to make sure that that poverty does not exist for that child and for that woman. Alright, thanks guys for watching. I hope that this really does inspire you guys to get the conversation going, to maybe post a response video or comment it below about what you think. We want to know what you think. So let's not make this an issue that we cover up and that we push aside. Let's get talking.